I'll pick up your bones when I'm done. Guess it's time to launch some fireworks. Get inside!
Start talking.
I got nothing to hide.
Start talking.
No skeletons in my closet.
Start talking.
Okay. There's one thing I never told you.
Start talking.
You were always my...
Start talking.
I got nothing to hide. Stop it. I'm not that kind of guy. Snake.
I guess a little fun and games never hurt anyone.
Stop it. I'm not that kind of guy.
What exactly do you plan to do with Monsieur Miller?
Snake.
I thought Miller was your friend!
Stop it. I'm not that kind of guy.
What you two choose to do with your time is up to you. But I am not impressed with knocking someone out to take advantage of them.
Snake.
I don't think I'll ever understand you two!
Stop it. I'm not that kind of guy.
I love you 届いてこの想いきっといつかは叶うよねこんな気持ち切なすぎるの
You want a picture of me? Meow. Meow, meow.
I knew you had it in you.
Naturally.
Down on the ground.
Not gonna happen.
It's not over yet.
Yeah, our battle's just getting started.
You're pretty good.
Cut it out. You're making me blush. Hydra!
I'll pick up your bones when I'm done.
You do that.
Guess it's time to launch some fireworks. Guess it's time to launch some fireworks.
You're kidding, right? Ooh.
Impressive. You're pretty good.
Cut it out. You're making me blush.
Guess it's time to launch some fireworks.
You're kidding, right?
Get inside.
Right. Ooh, got room for two?
Aha.
Glad to be with you, boss.
Snake, the sunsets are so pretty here.
I love the beach.
I've been waiting for you. Stop it. I'm not that kind of guy.
I guess a little fun and games never hurt anyone.
Maybe we were meant for each other.
I love you 届いてこの想いきっといつかは叶うよねこんな気持ち切なすぎ
Ooh, got room for two? We're just getting warmed up.
Let's get this mission started.
What was that? What was that? What was that?
Freeze!
Ah!
Freeze!
Ah! I think I see someone.
Freeze!
Hey, that was great. Can't wait to see what else you can do. Commencing mission.
Stealth. Stealth.
It's gonna be tough to take out a tank with the weapons you've got. You'll want to think about taking out the guys in the unit first. Strike before they spot you. Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. recovery helicopter is complete.
Enemies close.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. Fulton recovery helicopter is complete. Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
Seeing things.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. What? That's gotta be the leader. Can you take him down? They've okayed your request for a cardboard box. It'll be sent out shortly. The enemy leader's out cold. Bring him in.
You're fired. You're fired.
Commencing mission. It's gonna be tough to take out a tank with the weapons you've got. You'll want to think about taking out the guys in the unit first. They haven't seen you yet. Perfect. Now's your chance. Fulton recovery helicopter is complete. Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter.
Enemies close by!
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete. Recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. recovering a helicopter is complete.
Enemies close by.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. Fulton recovery helicopter is complete. That's gotta be the leader. Can you take him down? The enemy leader's out cold. Bring him in.
You're fired.
Commencing mission. organize things first. Watch your back! Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
Enemies close by.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter.
Enemies close by.
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
Enemies close by.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter.
Seeing things.
That area is not part of the mission.
Freeze!
Somebody's here.
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
Enemies close by. Enemies close by.
Fulton recovery subject confirmed onboard helicopter. That's gotta be the leader. Can you take him down? The enemy leader's out cold. Bring him in.
You're fired.
Got it! Oh, you sure know how to bag the big ones, boss. Let's get this.
Survival.
Only a master hunter could bring something like that down. Return to base. Second or even third gear wrecks out there.
Start talking.
I am not hiding anything from you.
Start talking.
Honest! You have to believe me.
Start talking.
My name is Boss, I love peace.
Start talking.
Honestly,
Start talking.
this hurts. Let me go.
Start talking.
I stole some rations at Mother Base. Huh? You know, we are finally alone, Snake.
Say goodnight.
Good night. Snake, your beard hurts.
What exactly do you plan on doing, boss?
I said no.
Cut that out. What are you going to do now?
Snake, your beard hurts.
What a terrible thing to do to a lady.
I said no.
Snake! What do you think you're doing to Bass?
Snake, your beard hurts.
What, may I ask, is your reason for doing such a thing to her?
I said no.
What are you planning to do to her?
Snake, you're... Guy Painter. Yes, sir.
I knew you had it in you.
Thanks. Peace.
Survival.
What was that? The enemy's attacking! Alert status!
Understood. Maintain heightened alert.
Someone's here! What is it? Enemies close by! Come in.
This is HQ.
This is patrol. All clear.
Understood. Stay vigilant.
Close by! Shot fired! Thanks. Enemy sighted. Requesting backup.
Negative. We can't spare reinforcements. You'll have to make do with what you have. Okay, you're done with that area. Head for the goal. Mission complete. The folks back at Mother Base will be thrilled. We just got a report that an enemy soldier managed to hang on to the Fulton chopper. What's going on down there?
Go into alert status!
Understood. Maintain heightened alert. The chopper got snagged by another one. Weird. Wonder how that keeps happening.
HQ, come in!
This is HQ.
This is patrol. All clear.
Understood. Stay vigilant. got hold of the
Under
chopper.
attack! Go into alert status!
Understood. Maintain heightened alert.
Here he is!
Stuff.
Use Fulton Recovery to bring back knocked out soldiers. To use Fulton Recovery on a soldier, get up next to them so the icon appears, and push the action button. That's not what that thing is for. No need to take out the armored vehicle just yet. Neutralize the troops first. The accompanying soldiers are armed to the teeth. Watch yourself. Oh yeah! Long live MSF! Mission accomplished. Return to base.
I love the beach.
No need to take out the armored vehicle just yet. Neutralize the troops first. They haven't seen you yet. Perfect. Now's your chance. time markers. Are you gonna have enough ammo? Maybe you should pull back and reorganize things first. Watch your back! It'd be a good idea to do some combat training with Zeke. It'll just be a mock battle, though. Nothing will happen to Zeke for real. Attack Zeke as if you were actually going against him, okay?
Combat.
Commencing throttle simulation.
Request acknowledged. Agent, we can't fire from that position. Use a different platform.
Charging railgun.
First, make sure you're safe by pressing up against a wall. Then use the L1 button to locate the enemy's position, and press the attack button to tag him. Target acknowledged. Bombs away.
Changing battle position. Changing battle position. South cover. Changing battle position. Changing battle position. Railgun report. Charging railgun. Charging railgun. Railgun fully charged. Railgun fully charged.
The rocket launcher's reloaded. Let him have it.
Changing battle position. Use Changing battle position. South. The highway terminated. Battle simulation complete.
It'd be...
It's me. Smoothly? Naturally? No. Big Boss doesn't know the truth. No, Langley hasn't decided what to do yet. Their hands are full with their own mess. True. Lubyanka is in the same boat. Yes. Other eyes continue to watch, but no sign of contact so far. Exactly. It's a non-state army to use however they want. They've probably decided there's no sense in wiping them out just yet. Better to make use of them. Indeed they have. There's a site near Angola. And we fully validated the AI as well. Agreed. Sigan was right. It seems it's time for a change in approach. Machines are best suited to specialize in high-level data processing. Yes, of course. Speaking of which, any news on the Suns? 2. Already? Really? But they're strictly an insurance policy, yes? So that's the idea. I wonder how Big Boss will respond. Yes, but I'm only interested in the business angle. Like I said before, I'm neither an enemy nor an ally. I'm merely a business partner. Don't forget it. Yes, I'll be in touch. My dear Zero. The new plant is a hex type. That gives it more surface area than previous types, and also makes it easier to plan expansions. We're gonna make this place huge.
Hex, huh? Like a beehive.
Nothing wrong with that. They say the honeycomb design is one of the strongest. I hear they're even thinking of using it in tank armor.
Good enough for me. I'll see about finding us some worker bees.
Appreciate it, boss.
By the way, Kaz, who do you think's our queen bee?
Good question. I was thinking maybe Paz.
I was thinking Strangelove.
Well, I can see that. Or maybe Cecile.
On second thought, I might go with Amanda.
How about this, Snake? We'll have an army of queen bees.
Sure. Why not?
Remember why we created MSF, Snake. To provide military force to whoever needs it, wherever they are, regardless of nation or ideology. Our beliefs aren't all that lofty.
We just won't be the tools of any one country.
Exactly. We know only how to fight. But we refuse to live our lives at the whim of the state. The MSF seal is patterned after Pangaea, the supercontinent from 250 million years ago. Back then, the whole world was one landmass, one world. No gaps, no rifts.
Our strength will take us back there. What about you, Kaz? Any interest in expanding MSF?
You'd better believe it. I want to make us into an organization that doesn't take orders from any country. Just like you were saying, we have to be strong. Strong enough to defend ourselves. We need money, too. Money to train soldiers to fight. The way I see it, we make MSF into something along the lines of a new kind of business. A contractor providing the full range of military services. Not just combat, but logistics, training, weapons, outfitting, and R&D. Combining the small footprint and exceptional performance of special forces with the raw military might of a full regular army. Only with that kind of power can we break free of nation-states. What I need from you, boss, is to go out and find guys we can bring back here using Fulton recovery. Then tell us what assignment to use them for. I'll take care of the rest. Your old mentor, the boss. She was known in the West as the Mother of Special Forces, right?
Nothing but propaganda.
Actually, it's not all that far from the truth. I heard the KGB just set up a counter-sabotage cell. Alpha Group, I think they call it. There's even a rumor that West Germany created a counter-terrorist unit within its border police after the debacle at the Munich Olympics. Back home in the States, they've got the illustrious Green Berets, the SEALs, and your personal creation, Foxhound. The seeds sown by the boss are beginning to sprout. Same goes for MSF, right? In creating it, you were carrying on the will of the boss.
Yeah. She taught me how to fight the hard way. She beat it into me.
And now, thanks to her, we can take on missions other than just conventional combat. After all, we've got the same mother as the Army's Special Forces. You know, Snake, you're right. As long as we're soldiers without borders, we're going to be a target. We need our own deterrent.
Yeah, we're going to be stepping into a lot of different conflicts as we roam the world, each one unique, and with its own set of geography, ideologies, and politics. If we're going to intervene in those kinds of situations, we need the threat of a Metal Gear.
Unless we want to end up like Che Guevara did in Bolivia.
Well said. Our army without borders doesn't have a land to call home. We're nomads, wanderers. What we need now is a sheepdog to guard our flock.
Right.
Maybe it's not the way the boss would have gone about it, but there are places in this world that need us, and soldiers that need MSF. And as long as we're needed, we'll keep on moving. Ours is a journey that never ends. We're the real Peace Walkers.
Remember that habit Paz had, Snake? How she always had her index finger on her upper lip like this?
Yeah. It bugged me ever since we first met her. Never figured her for a snuff user.
I can't believe we never noticed.
She used the kind where you keep a pouch of leaf in your upper jaw, let it absorb through your gums. She might not have been used to it. Probably used her finger to keep it in place.
How could Paz... We were gonna start a band together.
She was posing as a KGB agent, too.
She must have put on the act to get close to Galvez. Wonder how much Coleman knew. But the whole time she was working for some organization called Cypher.
Cypher. Ring any bells, Kaz?
Cypher. It means code, or zero in Arabic numerals.
Zero.
Does that mean something to you?
Not sure.
You know, Cypher and zero were basically the same word. It's a linguistic redundancy. The word stems from the Sanskrit shunya. It corresponds to the Buddhist concept of emptiness. In Buddhism, shunya means hollow. It supposedly refers to something that's swollen and empty on the inside.
A big swollen emptiness. Just like outer space.
Costa Rica isn't alone. All of Latin America is getting swept up in the superpowers' Cold War. The whole ideological split between East and West. In the end, it's just a greedy scramble for wealth by the ruling classes. The Western bourgeois stand to lose everything if their countries go communist. After all, the communists want to abolish private property altogether. So the capitalist rulers desperately tried to halt the global spread of communism. Hence the phenomenon of red baiting. And the communists, for their part, didn't exactly stay true to their principles. They tried to escape class-based society, but between Stalin's autocracy and the rise of the nomenklatura, they ended up creating one anyway. Once people have power, they stop caring about equality. That's where communism, where society in general reaches its limits. The rulers only care about their own gain. The opposing side becomes a risk factor that threatens the profit, and thus the ongoing struggle between capitalism and communism was born.
And now, nuclear deterrence is part of the picture.
Exactly. They say nuclear weapons are the reason we haven't seen conflict on a global scale since World War II. The thought that your opponent might launch nukes against you sort of makes it tough to start an armed conflict, especially now that they've got intercontinental ballistic missiles. Nowhere is safe.
Of course, all that has caused military expenditures to skyrocket.
Well, the only way to ward off a preemptive strike is to flaunt your own nuclear stockpile. And that's caused their numbers to increase exponentially, not just with regards to destructive power, but in terms of targeting technology too. Now they can hit a target halfway across the world with pinpoint accuracy. In a way, the space race was a demonstration of that technological progress.
And as a result of all that, we now have mutually assured destruction.
It's the ultimate form of deterrence. No one's going to launch their nukes knowing they'll be obliterated in return.
I don't know. The chance of somebody hitting the button by mistake is never zero.
You're right. Even with peace guaranteed by MAD, there's always the risk of an accident.
Nobody wants the world to end on account of some machines malfunctioning.
On the other hand, thanks to deterrence, we haven't had a world war since 1945. You gotta admit, it has been pretty peaceful.
Not that it matters to us.
People point at the nuclear arms and space races and call it a Cold War. I say if they're not shooting at each other, why not call it world peace?
Doesn't mean war is gone. Look at Korea. Look at Vietnam.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking in relative terms here. Besides, if war died out completely, we'd be SOL.
We're not warmongers.
And yet, we can't survive in a world that's at peace.
You got a point.
So it's been more than 10 years since the Cuban Missile Crisis, huh?
I don't think we'll ever forget it.
No kidding. Those 13 days starting October 15th, 1962, were probably the closest we ever came to all-out nuclear war. The Russians deployed nuclear missiles to Cuba. America responded with a naval blockade. Then Russia shot down an American spy plane. I was still a teenager back then, but I remember what it felt like to be one step away from nuclear war. The adults were freaking out.
If it wasn't for the Cuban Missile Crisis, there might never have been an Operation Snake Eater. And
What's the matter, Snake? It's not like you to get all hypothetical.
I guess not. It was the reassessment after the missile crisis that paved the way for the hotline between Moscow and Washington, and also for détente. That's irony for you.
The Treaty of Tlatelolco was enacted to make Latin America into a nuclear-free zone. It bans the testing, use, manufacture, production, acquisition, storage, and deployment of nuclear weapons. The impetus was pretty obvious. The series of crises triggered by the deployment of nukes in Cuba.
Not hard to imagine. Those 13 days had the whole world frozen in fear.
Of course, the country that started it all, Cuba, hasn't actually ratified it yet.
Still, the treaty's backed by over 20 countries. Anyone flouting it risks becoming an international pariah.
True. Opinol would investigate, no doubt. I heard they used Japan's 3 non-nuclear principles as their model when they drew up the treaty. I think the Treaty of Tlatelolco might have been their way of asking nuclear powers not to use nukes against them. That's the biggest difference between the treaty and the 3 principles. I guess you could call it a 4th principle.
So Costa Rica abolished its army back in, 1949? Pretty gutsy move for a Central American nation at the time.
Yeah, well, they'd just come out of a civil war. I'm sure they were driven by a desire to avoid another tragedy like Paz said. But I think they had a more compelling reason. Army coup d'etat are a way of life in so many Latin American countries. Imagine seeing that up close.
No army, no coup. Makes sense.
Plus, their economy was in ruins. So they honestly didn't have any money to spend on an army anyway.
Yeah, but weren't they on less than friendly terms with Nicaragua?
Yeah, and in fact, Nicaragua did end up invading. But the Civil Guard fought back and the OAS brokered a ceasefire. The US and the rest of the OAS had their back, and they used it to full advantage. For a quarter century, they survived in the powder keg of Central America. That must have taken some serious diplomacy. Even if the Civil Guard is pretty decked out for a police force.
Must be tough to be a country without an army.
Hey, Snake, mind if I ask you something?
Since when did you start asking permission?
So, You used to be part of a CIA paramilitary unit, right?
That's right.
Ever do any ops in Central America?
No, not personally. But there were other units who did all kinds of stuff.
I remember the Bay of Pigs invasion back in '61. The papers had a field day with it.
Operation Zapata. That was the CIA code name. The whole thing went south.
Then there was Che Guevara, being hunted down in Bolivia. I heard the CIA had a hand in that, too.
There were several units similar to mine. MSP, SOG. They'd recruit former special forces, train them as intelligence agents, and send them on deniable covert paramilitary operations. One of those units trained the Bolivian army in counter-guerrilla tactics.
And then had them shoot El Che.
So the story goes.
Around here they say La CIA instead of CIA, huh?
Nothing strange about it. That's how it's pronounced when you read it in Spanish.
It has the feminine noun ending a, so they use the article la. Apparently some people have taken to using the term UCLA.
That's a new one to me. What's it mean?
It stands for Unilaterally Controlled Latino Assets.
Meaning they're local agents?
Yeah, that's the idea. Washington uses them like pawns. Nobody knows who they really are or what they're doing. Can you believe the CIA and KGB were actually in cahoots?
Never thought I'd see that at the station chief level. But I'd heard stories of operatives in the field being on friendly terms.
Seriously?
Most espionage takes place in political hotspots, as you'd expect. But there aren't that many of those kinds of places, especially in a small country. Hang around long enough, and you're bound to run into fellow spies. Like it or not. You start saying hello, and soon enough you're eating dinner together.
Strange bedfellows, huh?
Well, I don't know about that. At any rate, this kind of fiasco is what happens when spies get too familiar. Hard to believe, but some people will betray anyone and anything if it suits their interests.
The strength of human is in its appeal to human emotions, but its weakness is in its susceptibility to those same emotions. That's why the tide in the intelligence world is shifting towards SIGINT, a network of cold, digital data, where feelings are irrelevant. So I hear Amanda mistook you for Che Guevara, Snake. That's not too bad, huh?
Yeah, right. I'm not even worthy of polishing his boots.
Don't be so modest. From where I'm standing, your men see you as a great man.
As great as the century's most complete human being.
That's Sartre, right? Well, there's hardly been a more iconic figure of his times than Che.
Oh, he was more than that. He was a true revolutionary, and a great warrior.
I'm with you there. Can you believe that when he first went to Cuba with Fidel, they had only 12 guys with them?
But they rallied. They brought in new recruits, won the support of the peasants, expanded their organization.
And in the end, they overthrew the Batista regime.
People flocked to them because they were honest. They won because they were strong. Those are the qualities that make men great.
You know, we're kind of in the same boat they were back then. Here we are, a handful of mercenaries taking on an army backed by the United States.
Yeah, we've got a long way to go.
But we've got to keep on going. It's not just about winning in battle. You need to think about recruiting people and growing this operation.
Got it.
Hey, Snake, I've been thinking. Maybe Che couldn't find a place for himself outside the battlefield either.
How so?
He led the Cuban Revolution to victory. That's quite an accomplishment. He could have called it quits there and nobody would have blamed him. But he left behind a loving family and a cabinet post to plunge back into the struggle. First in the Congo, then in Bolivia where he met his end.
You're overthinking things. Che went back to the battlefield because he was needed there. Read his farewell letter, then you'll understand.
Some say he was too idealistic to fit in with the government.
Too many scruples, most likely.
Maybe so, but I still can't help thinking the reason you look up to Che is because you see something of yourself in him. You left your country behind and plunged into battle. You wander from one battlefield to another, going wherever you're needed.
Che was a revolutionary as well as a warrior. He took up arms to fight for his beliefs. I don't do what I do for any ideology. I'm a warrior. Nothing more. Nothing less.
Okay, boss. You're right. Just wanted to see how we stacked up against a real hero. Boss, did you ever read Che Guevara's book, Guerrilla Warfare?
I can't remember if I got to that one or not.
You should have. That's why I lent it to you. A lot of the guerrilla tactics it covers apply to sneaking missions, too. Che was one of the first people to articulate the theory of guerrilla warfare. T.E. Lawrence of Arabia, was another one. And Mao Zedong and his On Protracted War. Theory aside, Nicaragua's General Sandino was one of the first to put guerrilla tactics into practice, which explains why the Sandinistas named themselves after him.
If you think about it, guerrilla warfare itself has been around since ancient times. There's only so many ways a small group can upset a large army.
There was a samurai in Japan who excelled in guerrilla warfare.
No kidding.
Tsunoki Masashige. He was a warrior who lived in the medieval era. He used unconventional tactics to help overthrow the Kamakura shogunate.
Like what?
Trojan horse-style maneuvers and decoys to confuse the enemy. The best one was when the enemy was climbing the castle walls. He dumped boiling water and human excrement on them.
Huh, sounds great. Let's put it in the MSF playbook.
You're not serious, are you, boss?
Why not? We've got plenty of crap to unload.
Yeah. I'll think about it.
What's wrong, Kaz? You sound beat.
Yeah, the problems never seem to end around here.
You should take a break. Share a cup of mate with the other guys. It'll give you a chance to connect with them.
I wonder if Che and his men ever sat around and drank mate.
I bet they did. Che was famous for his love of the stuff.
Oh, man, whoever thought of this was a genius. You can put it in a gourd and carry it around, and there's a special straw with a filter attached so you can drink it any time.
That's not all. It's full of essential vitamins and minerals, too. Nice to have in a guerrilla war when food is short.
Yeah. Wish I had a chance to share some with a blonde Parisienne when I was out hiking.
Well, how do you know about that?
It takes a thief. Or should I say it takes a snake to know one. Snake. The year the Cuban Revolution was won, Che visited Japan as a member of an economic delegation. While he was there, he visited Hiroshima.
Hiroshima?
Since he was there to discuss economic issues, Hiroshima wasn't part of the original itinerary. Some said the Ministry of Foreign Affairs didn't want to let him go, but he went anyway. He snuck out of his hotel and took an overnight train.
Traveling guerrilla style. Sounds like Che, all right.
He visited the Peace Memorial Museum and the Atomic Bomb Survivors Hospital. Apparently it gave him quite a shock. As a doctor, it must have been painful for him to see how the victims suffered.
Nukes destroy everything.
He was quoted as saying, "They put you through this, and still you do whatever America says." Those words really hit me hard, especially when I think of my mom. He said something else, too. Let us all love Hiroshima and its people.
I can believe it. Che never managed to numb himself to other people's pain. That's why people loved him. And why he died.
That bandana you're always wearing, that thing's a real antique. Ever think about getting a new one?
This one's fine.
Come on, we can't have our boss wearing a raggedy old thing like that.
It was a gift, okay? It wouldn't be right to get rid of it.
It was. Okay then. Speaking of which, Che supposedly had a black scarf he used to take everywhere with him.
A scarf?
One of his comrades gave it to him when he broke his arm in battle. Che used that silk scarf as a sling, and the comrade who gave it to him became his second wife.
Alida, right?
Even after his arm healed up, he never went anywhere without that scarf. What about you? You get that bandana from someone special?
No, nothing like that. It's important to me. That's all. You were saying Japan has a peace constitution too.
Yep. Japan renounced war in Article 9 of its constitution, aspiring sincerely to an international peace based on justice and order. The Japanese people forever renounce war as a sovereign right of the nation, and the threat or use of force as a means of settling international disputes. In order to accomplish the aim of the preceding paragraph, land, sea, and air forces, as well as other war potential, will never be maintained. The right of belligerency of the state will not be recognized.
You know it by heart.
Some things you never forget.
Impressive. There were some parts I didn't quite get, though. Like the whole means of settling conflicts thing.
Yeah, that's been the subject of debate. Whether or not it forbids any and all use of force. The current Constitution was originally drawn up under the Allied occupation. The first draft was even submitted by Allied GHQ. So naturally, there are some who feel the Constitution was imposed on Japan by foreigners.
Things like that are never simple. Same for every country, I guess.
One thing's for sure, though. Not having an army let Japan focus on economic recovery after the war. In that sense, it's the same as Costa Rica.
Kaz, you were in the Japanese Self-Defense Force, right? I thought that Article 9 you were talking about earlier prevented Japan from having an army.
Yeah, and that's another subject of controversy. The Self-Defense Force is an organization for the purpose of defense. Article 9 of the Constitution does not deny Japan's right to self-defense. Therefore, the SDF is constitutional. That's Tokyo's official stance.
Sounds complicated.
Call it what you will. It's a distinctly Japanese way of interpreting things.
The U.S. has military forces stationed in Japan, right?
Right. Even though the Allied occupation ended, American forces are still stationed there under the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty.
Unlike Costa Rica.
Part of it stems from the occupation, but Japan also occupies a key strategic position from America's perspective. It's next door to the Soviet Union and close to China and North Korea as well. It's integral to the security of Pacific Asia. For America, Japan represents a barrier against communism.
What about for Japan?
As you might expect, there's deep-rooted opposition to the alliance. In 1960 and 1970, when the treaty was up for revision, there were mass protest movements against it, especially in Okinawa. The U.S. only gave it back to Japan 2 years ago, and American bases are still concentrated there. It's a heavy burden for the Okinawans to bear.
Then why don't they scrap the treaty?
Lots of reasons. There's the imbalance of power with the U.S., of course, and if Japan pulled out, they'd be losing the nuclear umbrella America provides. And as for whether the JSDF could defend the country after the Americans left, I really couldn't say. Costa Rica is in a similar situation. They depend on the Inter-American Treaty of Reciprocal Assistance, the so-called Rio Pact.
So, the countries with peace constitutions end up having to rely on other countries' armies. Kind of ironic.
On the flip side, not everybody in America is satisfied with it either. Some people argue Japan is freeloading off America's security guarantee. And you know how Japan's industrial exports are making inroads in the States.
Yeah, I've got a Japanese camera myself. Best damn camera around.
Japan's low defense spending allows it to invest more in economic recovery and expand its share of the American market. That's a bitter pill for Americans to swallow. You know that today, Japan is under the American nuclear umbrella.
Right.
The U.S. vowed to retaliate against any country that launches a nuclear strike against an allied country. That promise deters nuclear attacks against America's allies, hence the term nuclear umbrella. But suppose the Russians nuke Tokyo. Would America really nuke Moscow in return? If they did, the Soviet Union would undoubtedly retaliate. Would Washington really be willing to risk having a bomb dropped on itself in order to avenge Japan? I'm not so sure.
Don't tell me you're still worried about Japan. After all these years?
It's not that.
To be honest, I'm not convinced either. But Moscow faces the same dilemma. Maybe Washington wouldn't retaliate on Japan's behalf. Then again, maybe it would.
So you're saying Moscow wouldn't want to risk being attacked either?
The whole concept of nuclear deterrence is entirely hypothetical to begin with.
Japan shall not possess, manufacture, or allow the introduction of nuclear weapons into Japan. Those are the 3 non-nuclear principles set forth by the Japanese government.
Allow the introduction? That's funny. Some of the U.S. warships that visit Japanese ports are armed with nukes. Or are you going to tell me they transfer them at sea onto other ships every time they visit?
You raise a good point, Snake. But the Japanese government doesn't recognize it as such. The introduction of nuclear weapons into Japanese territory would need to be agreed upon in advance. America hasn't made any such agreements. Therefore, they aren't bringing nukes into Japan. That's the official excuse.
Doesn't sound like much of an excuse to me.
I don't blame you. Keep in mind, though, Japan suffered actual nuclear attacks. Anti-nuke sentiment there runs deeper than you think. I suppose the government's not really in a position to admit that sort of thing.